Have you ever looked at your accomplishments and said, "How in the heck did I even get here?" Or you have a dream and you can see where you want to go, but you have that internal feeling of, that feeling of there's no way because I'm not that person. Imposter syndrome is such a huge deal for a lot of people. And there's a fine line. There's a fine line between actually being an imposter and just kind of faking it till you make it, and developing the skills necessary to become that person or to recognize that you're already that person. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, okay? Because imposter syndrome is something that a lot of people face. It's funny because you can have the complete opposite where you wish the person realized that they were not who they say they were. But for a lot of really good people, well-meaning people, it's very hard to overcome that idea that there's no way I can't. How the heck did I get here? How I can't be like that. That they're way better than me. They're more talented. Uh, I'm just totally faking it right now. It's hard not to have that. So this is something that I struggled with for a long time. Uh, for years, even as I was successfully growing my businesses, for years I struggled with this. And so, uh, whether you're a business owner, a parent, or someone just trying to grow, some trying to get better at your craft, imposter syndrome could sneak up. It could sneak in and keep you from taking bold action. But by the end of this, hopefully you'll have some tools to face it head on and conquer it and actually use it to your advantage. So, what is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is that internal feeling that you are not what is reflected on the outside. Okay. Uh, for example, when I was starting my Amazon dropshipping business back in the day, and things were starting to go really, really well, I had this feeling that I didn't know what I was doing. Revenue was coming in, I was building a team, my team was crushing it, and I still didn't know what I was doing. The person over there that I looked up to who was selling more on Amazon, they knew what they were doing. The person who could private label, they knew what they were doing. The person who could sell on eBay and all these other places and Amazon, they knew what they were doing. And they were way better than I was, right? Me drop shipping, no, there's no way. And even when I created a course on how to do all of that, when I created a course on how to do what I was doing, I would be doing the videos and I'd be like, who's going to listen to me? And what if it doesn't work? And what, it's totally working for me, but it's not going to work and people are going to find out I'm a fraud. I would have those feelings nonstop. And then as I was building up Prosulum and as I was building up all the other things, I had that nagging thing saying that no, that's not really you. You're going to get caught, and whatever, and people are going to see that you're not really that person, and it would be nonstop. It keeps you stuck. You don't take risks. You don't help people or you limit how much you'll help people because you don't have that feeling of being the captain. And so really that's what it comes down to, right? It comes down to the feeling of being the captain and taking on that responsibility. Okay. How do you start feeling that? How do you start cultivating the feeling of, no, I am good at what I do? The first thing that I had to do was, it might sound a little woo woo, but I started looking at the feelings that would come up in my body. And That's one thing that a lot of us, we tend to be up here, right? Even though if you are nervous or scared or anxious or you have these feelings, generally, I know I would feel it like right here. I would feel it. I would feel this like it was a tingle, but it was not a good tingle. It was this as if my stomach was in knots. And I would get to I would start sitting with that feeling and noticing it and accepting it. Before I would resist. I would resist it. And start noticing, when does that feeling actually come up? Is it when you have the idea, the thought in your mind that I just got lucky, or anyone could have done this, or I have no idea what I'm doing? When does it actually start happening? And for me, it would happen when I would have that feeling of I just got lucky and everything's going to come crashing down at some point in time. And I would feel that, and I would sit with it, and I would accept it and be like, yeah, that's how I feel, rather than resist it, without any judgment, just that's how I feel. And that's fine. And the more that I accepted, that's the way it is. In fact, I just had something unpleasant happen as I was right before I was recording this. And rather than resist the unpleasantness, just saying, okay, that's where we're at. That's where things are. Okay. Accepting it without any judgment allows the charge to kind of dissipate. So then you can start thinking clearly. And then once you've done that, you can kind of reframe the narrative. Instead of like thinking, oh, I don't deserve this, or I'm lucky, you can say something like, I'm learning as I go. And that's cool. I don't know what I'm doing right now, but I know more than I did before. I know more than I did a month ago, a year ago. I'm obviously making money, or I'm obviously being a better parent, or I'm obviously having better relationships. And then I did last week, last month, last year. So I'm getting better at this. And so I might not have mastered it, but I'm definitely in a better place. Or if you're just starting out, I'm just starting out, and these are the steps I need to take. And then as time goes on, I'm not a good journal. I don't keep journals, but I have good memories. I start kind of creating a brag file in my head of, I always look back, of when it was hard for me to spend $300 to outsource a task. Like, it might have been a little project that I needed. It might have been $500, $1,000. It was super difficult financially for me to do that. And then to have the leadership skills to make sure that that task got done with one person that I've hired on a short-term basis, maybe from Upwork or something like that, to now having hundreds of people working for me, having happy people working for me all around the world, to spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to pay them all around the world per month. That has changed so drastically that when I look back and I see where I was to now, obviously I'm doing something right, even if those feelings come up. And they still come up. And I bet you even millionaires and billionaires up there will all tell you that they have that come up. It comes up less, and they're able to reframe, but a lot of it's just because of that reframing, right? And so, as was said in the previous video, the internal reflects the external. The more that you can change how you feel on the inside, the more that you can observe how you feel on the inside, whether through meditation, breath work, whether through just noticing your feelings, sitting with your feelings, accepting your feelings. and reframing, the more that you do that on the outside, you're going to then have that reflected on the outside. So the biggest thing is progress over perfection. Okay. Um, Imposter syndrome thrives because a lot of times we've already kind of stopped doing the things we want to do, or we limit ourselves. And so the more that you can start doing little things and not worry about being perfect. In fact, one of the reasons why I had a bad situation happen was because I made mistakes that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars with this one person. Okay. And the goal of that person, well, maybe not the goal of that person, but what it felt like was that person was trying to make me regret it. On the flip side, I've made way more money revenue wise by taking all these different chances. So, yeah, I might have lost all that money, but on the flip side, I mean, would you lose $1, be willing to lose $1 to make $100? Yeah, because you're $99 in profit. That's how you have to see things. Yeah, it sucks that you lost the dollar. Let's say it was $10,000 and you lost $100, or it's $100,000, you lost $10,000. Would you be willing to lose $10,000 in order to make $100,000? Of course, right? And so this is where the reframing and seeing the progress that you've made, not regretting, seeing the progress that you're doing and not regretting, is huge to this. Every single person that you see as a celebrity or that's wealthy went through crap, went through hard times, and they probably felt like they didn't know what they were doing up until even to this day. I was just looking. I saw on TikTok Magnus Carlsen, who's like one of the great chess players, talking about how people think he's a genius, but he's like, I'm not a genius. Like, all those other people in the room are geniuses, not me. Like, he even has imposter syndrome, and he's like he's like the top 3 chess players in the world, if not the top 1. So recognize those small wins, and then continue to set small actionable goals. Practice gratitude for your journey. Surround yourself with people who are more positive than negative. Here's your challenge. Think of one thing that you've been holding back on because of imposter syndrome. Maybe it's launching that idea, applying for that promotion, speaking up in a meeting. Do it this week, even if it's a small thing. The smallest thing you can find. I love doing the smaller things because it leads to bigger things. Do it before that inner critic happens. Maybe it's taking a cold shower, just jumping in. I have a pool that's super cold. I have to jump into that thing in order to do the cold plunge. If I even think about it, I'm like, it's not gonna happen. And I would love to hear how it goes. Start recognizing that most people are too afraid to do anything that's of value. And as soon as you start doing something, you're one of the top like 10 to 1% of people. And that makes you more than an imposter. That makes you a captain. That makes you a leader. That makes you fearless when so many people are fearful, even to spend $10 or $27 to learn how to invest in crypto, or $47 to learn how to sell, or whatever. You are courageous enough. You are courageous enough to take risks. And that is not what imposters do. Do something today, something small, or this week. Would love to know how it goes. And then recognize that you were better now, and you mastered whatever it is more now than you did last week. And internalize that, and as time goes on, it'll flower into bigger and better feelings of being in command, feelings of being that real authentic person that you've always wanted to be.